Yeah. Step in the ring. Gotta play my life on this song. Yeah. Yeah. What is Spotlight Sports? Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show. Hitting the marks. Slip in the ring, it's a war zone spark. Roman Reigns with the spear, leave a legacy mark. Kenny Omega with the V-trigger, cleaner than art. MJF talk slick, cut promos that scar. Okada with the rainmaker, money flows hard. Seth Rollins curb stomp, burn it down, no guard. John Mox with the paradigm shift, blood in the yard. Jay White with the blade runner, switchblade sharp. Bianca Belair, whip crack, hair snap charge. Will I spray with the hidden blade, aerial barrage. Claudio swinging bodies like a carnival park. Darby Allin dive reckless, paint face dark. Saw the flare figure eight. Legacy arc, Hangman Page, buckshot, cowboy spark, ricochet flips insane, gravity disbarred, the young buck, super kick party, double tap start. From AEW to WEROH to NJPW charts, every move, every feud, every pop from the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show, hitting the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Every finisher lands, every storyline arcs. From the ramp to the ropes, from the chance to the sparks. We live for the show, hitting the marks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Spotlight sparks, spotlight sparks. Crowd go wild when the spotlight sparks. Spotlight sparks, hitting the marks. I mean media. Yeah. Step in the ring.
I have to turn off that loop function. Otherwise, it just keeps playing the intro. My new favorite part of that intro, Rick, is as I was watching it, I noticed that the luchador that does the moonsault off of the second rope moonsaults onto absolutely nobody and lands on the barricade. It's absolutely amazing.
Love it.
It's my new favorite
right
part.
out of AEW.
My new favorite part of the video.
Baby. Absolutely.
See,
get your
this
shit
is why
in.
You have to watch the show live. Otherwise, you miss happy little things like that. It is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. You're tuned into the Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast, powered by the Hameen Media Group, patreon.com, Hameen Media Group, and of course, presented by the HTM Podcast Network. On this week's show, we're talking the Road to WrestleMania, a preview of this weekend's Revolution. But before we dive in, it's my obligation to remind you this is a podcast by the fans for the fans, bringing you all the news. It is news from across the professional wrestling world. Keep up with the show by searching Hitting the Marks on your favorite podcast listening device. My name is Dr. Michael Jargo, PhD, and of course I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend. He's the real RBV. Rick, welcome back to your show.
Mr. Dr. Jargo, always happy to be back with you here, the Tuesday Night Delight, Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast live on the Hameen Media Group YouTube channel. Hey, everybody that's first time with us, make sure that you're smashing that subscribe, getting that bell on to get all the alerts with all our content 7 days a week. Live programming, covering all the news that is news, as Jargo says, from around the world of professional wrestling. Jargo, one of my favorites is when we step outside of that bubble of pro wrestling, and I've been screaming this for so long, that professional sports, this is professional sports. They're getting paid big money. When sports out-pros wrestling's pro wrestling. This time of year, while we're getting geared up for WrestleMania, there's another big event, another big spectacle in sport and entertainment coming up, and that is one March Madness. I know that you're a fan of. I'm a fan of. We both we love that heavy hitter, that main eventer, the Duke Blue Devils. But then we've got stories across the board from, the other major colleges, those mids, and of course everybody loves the Cinderella story, and that's what
Nobody
it's about.
loves
the underdog
story.
Well,
Nobody
the ratings
loves
suggest
the
the ratings suggest that, Jargo, but they like to get hype and pretend that they know all about these teams.
We love Cinderella. We love Cinderella until the Elite Eight. Once you get to the Elite Eight, get Cinderella the hell out of here so we can watch real basketball.
Well, that's more of...
That's how it goes every year.
You have the mystique, the thrill of the opening weekend. That's where the party's at. Mm-hmm. Everybody getting out of work early, filling out their brackets, making or breaking them. When did you bust in the first couple rounds? And that's where it is. That is the spectacle. Where they kind of mimic professional wrestling because they go in depth, man. All the detail, this working in television, the packages they put together that you get to know those mids and low coaches, the players and their journeys, what they're studying, what they've had to go through to get to this point, what it means to them. And right now, it's already picking up that buzz for one mid-major that no one would hardly ever be talking about. And there's huge headlines with them. And it's funny that some of them are, will they even make the tournament? And Jargo, their record is 31-0. And I'm talking about right up the road from where I'm at, the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. Undefeated regular season, getting ready to start their mid-tournament conference, the MAC, as mid as you can get. But yeah, talk that they might not get in round these parts. It is a hot button thing because, no, even here, no one really talks about them, what they are now, but they're getting all that national attention as well. All the talking heads across ESPN, all of Fox, should they get in? Such a great piece of storytelling and drama for college basketball in March Madness right now, especially at a time where, numbers have been down for them. Not a whole lot of attention in the regular season for the last couple of years. Players one and done. We are seeing with nil a shift back to the absolute powerhouses. So days of Cinderellas might be gone as well. Those small schools that have been making those deep, deep runs into it. But you got to love the thrill. The impact of professional wrestling, that connection with the characters and the storytelling everywhere, man, that you go.
Well, answer the question. What do you think? Should they be in or should they not be in?
Absolutely should be in. And I've seen a few different arguments there compared to the other sports there. We've got 68 teams. 68 teams that get into this thing. There is a spot for the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. And I know they say you can look at strength of schedule. They play the MAC mid-major. They're out of conference. Yeah, kind of resembles a Saturday morning rec league. I get that. But 31-0 is a hell of an accomplishment on any level, any sport, no matter what you're doing, to go out there and get it done 31 times. I know a lot of them have been nail biters, buzzer beaters, things of that nature. 31-0, if they do not get in, it is essentially the NCAA telling me, put a nail in the coffin. Do not pay attention to the regular season. It does not matter at all when you got 68 slots. And don't tell me it's about putting the best 68 in there, because you have automatic bids for conferences that have no business being there.
Yeah, if it was the 68 best teams, it would be all of the Big Ten. It would be all of the SEC. It would be all of the Pac-12. It would be all of the ACC. I mean,
it'd be a Big Four invite.
Yeah, and that would be it. Do they have a end of season tournament?
Yes. Well, think about that. The story that we've had.
So that's a guaranteed bid, right?
Yeah. So the question is, if they would lose somehow in this tournament, because they've had close games in the MAC, plenty of buzzer beaters, right down to 2 3-point wins, actually hitting buzzer beaters to continue their streak. If they would lose, is that enough to knock them out? I don't think so. At this junction, you got to let both of those teams in, the bid, the automatic bid, and them. But all the eyes that are on them right now, hey, you got to love to be the MAC. You haven't had this much attention in forever, probably in your conference's existence. At least going back to Wally Zerbiak days, I'm thinking it is the last major player for the MAC that I recall. But yeah, they're going to have games on ESPN, good ratings, and the host site going to love the gate. People are going to be flooding to that. So the drama that they have created here for this Sami Zayn underdog, it is tremendous for them, great for the sport. Just throw it out there for everybody. Maybe it's not paying attention. Keep your eye out for the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. I love to see them run the MAC tournament, win that. I'm guessing they get a 9 seed, which would feed them to a 1 seed in the second round, just for the storytelling drama. And one of those 1 seeds might be our very own Blue Devil.
I was to say the Devils look good. Lady Devils looking very good this year as well. I've watched quite a few of the I watch more of the women's tournament at this point and Rick watches more of the men's tournament, and that's okay. We both love our basketball. We just enjoy different flavors.
I just like good basketball.
Oh, that's harsh. Huckleberry, we have some breaking news here. Frank was telling me that Ronda Rousey is bitching about TKO. You know what that's all about?
Well, again, she has constantly been complaining about TKO since official departure contract expired. I did see, though, I did follow it up. I had this week at WW this afternoon. I had like an hour layover to get a bite to eat, kind of rest and look at our run and get set. But they did the weigh-in face-off for her big upcoming fight with Camaro, correct?
Yeah. Well, at this point, what does, the Miami of Ohio, what are they, the Red Hawks?
They originally were the Redskins. They were one of those. They are a more liberal-esque, high-dollar, high education school. The yuppies in this area and in Ohio kind of gravitate towards there. Fun little fact, though, about the campus of Miami of Ohio. They're located in a little town called Oxford, literally like 30 minutes up the road from where I'm at here out in the country of Southwest Ohio. But one of the last times I was there on their campus at a place called the Stadium, they hosted a beer pong tournament. And in that tournament, me and my partner knocked The Miz out of competition. We were playing against The Miz. That's where The Miz went to school before he went to the real world.
Okay, well, I have
television
three
show.
things.
I don't think The Miz has ever lived in the real world.
Three things that are, the epitome of this week's monologue is the mid-major teams in the NCAA tournament, Ronda Rousey bitching about TKO, and The Miz not being able to hold his liquor. They all three are incredibly predictable.
When the crowd noise fades and the spotlight grows, there's a voice in the silence that everybody knows. Settle in, lean close, let the story unfold. This is the monologue where the truth gets told.
People love to say that predictability is the enemy of professional wrestling. That if you can see the finish coming, then the magic is gone. But here's the truth that the business vets know in their bones that we have been taught. Predictability isn't a flaw in professional wrestling. It's a feature. It's one of the oldest tools of the craft because predictability isn't about boredom. It's about the payoff. Wrestling is built on anticipation, the show tightening story, the rising hum of the crowd that knows exactly what is supposed to happen next, and they want it anyway. It's not a failure of creativity. That's the audience telling you, you've done your job. You've made us care. Think about the great babyface comeback. We all know the beats. We can practically count them off like a metronome. You have the heat. You have the hope spot. You have the cutoff. You have the fire. You have the comeback. You have the finish. It's predictable and it works every single time when the story underneath of it is honest. Or you have the long-term arc when a wrestler has been climbing the mountain for months, maybe years, and then the moment finally arrives. The crowd doesn't want to swerve. They don't want to shock. They want the coronation that they've been emotionally investing in since its very first promo. Predictability becomes catharsis. It becomes the release valve for every near miss, every heartbreak, every no, not quite yet. And here's the secret that the best bookers understand. Predictability is only a problem when nothing has been earned, when the story is hollow, when the finish feels cheap. But when the story is rich, when the characters are alive, when the stakes are real, predictability becomes inevitability, which becomes destiny. Fans don't chant because they're surprised. Fans chant because they're connected. The shock moments, the swerves, the betrayals, the out of nowhere twists, they're all seasoning. They're not the meal. If you want to swerve every week, then the audience stops trusting you. But if you build a world where the expected feels right, then the unexpected hits even harder. Predictability isn't the enemy of wrestling. It's the rhythm of wrestling. It's the heartbeat of wrestling. It's the part of the dance where the crowd leans forward, smiles, and they say, "Here it comes." And when you deliver, when you give them exactly what it is that they hoped for, that's when wrestling feels timeless. Because sometimes the greatest magic in the business isn't the surprise. It's the moment that everyone sees coming and they still rise to their feet and cheer when it finally arrives. That's this week's monologue. Huckleberry, what do you think?
Well, one of the very profound lines in there that really jumps out to me, and you're talking about the pop and getting the audience to their feet for that grand reaction. It really rather a sad state of the industry. More connection nowadays with entrances than the character. and their journey and the story that they're trying to tell us. That is a very damning, truthful statement on professional wrestling right now.
Absolutely. And there's no better kind of epitome of it than Cody winning the title, right? And I don't mean last week on SmackDown. I mean going back to Mania when Cody finally put down Roman, the 2-year storyline, when it finally happened, everybody cheered. By comparison, we had Cody Rhodes beating poor Drew McIntyre to reclaim the WWE Championship on the road to WrestleMania. And now we're left with Cody versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Huckleberry, this is polarizing. I guess to go back to the monologue from a couple of weeks ago, this is not going over very well.
I think in the case of Cody Rhodes, and one, you could take this tongue in cheek if you want to, because I know there comes into play the legitimacy of, is it actual fan reaction? Is there bots being bought to influence this? But an alarming number, the thumbs down that clip has received on YouTube, the most thumbs down ever for a YouTube clip from WWE. Again, that could be fixed. The fix could be in on that. But it is still telling of the situation, a greater issue. And I think really with Cody Rhodes in it, I started thinking back to other champions, other QB ones that had to carry the company. That would you depended on to put butts in the seats, eyes on the screens. And at some point, for every top draw in professional wrestling, you need to evolve, to ascend above the championship. And where we have been, even going back to Cody Rhodes in AEW, his hero's quest has always revolved around a championship. You get to a point where an audience needs to invest deeper. More than your goals, your aspirations to just be the guy. They need to connect with your soul. That's where we're at with Cody Rhodes, and they're not making that jump. We needed something here that he needed to be fighting for more than simply being champion, something very deep and personal to him. He hasn't done that. Even when Hogan at times, when he's going against Slaughter, the belt was involved. The belt there kind of needed them, but it was for America.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of things where you're going much deeper, or it's for your family. There's something very personal stakes on the line, career on the line, something of those sorts. Cody hasn't made that leap yet. And that's why people are growing very, very tired of him being in this spot. This will be 4 years in a row, championship bouts at WrestleMania.
And supposedly, what the source reporting on all of this stuff is Cody kind of politicked his way into losing the title because Cody felt like he should be on the chase on the road to WrestleMania. Evidently, the original plan was they were going to do Cody versus Drew, Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. And then they were seeing the ticket sales and the reactions, and they decided to go ahead and pull an audible, put Orton over in the Elimination Chamber, and then have Cody win the title back. And so now we're left with Randy versus Cody, supposedly one-on-one. I'm afraid this is going to turn Cody heel because you do have all of those dislikes. We've heard a few boos creeping in here, creeping in there. But more importantly, I think people really want to get behind Randy Orton right now. And it doesn't really matter who is going to be on the opposite side of the ring. They're going to cheer Randy Orton. And if Orton is the one being cheered here, Cody will take it upon himself to play the heel role. And he will think that he is only going to play the heel role for this match. But I am afraid, Huckleberry, that this is going to become the Cody Rhodes delusional babyface heel character. That's where I think we're going, whether they want it to or not.
Well, to go back to the first part about the why and tracking ticket sales, interest in the product, I had heard a slightly different version of that. And it was where they were worried about other events, other eyes on the product, not just selling butts in the seats, but PLE buys. And it was that they believed internally, that be management, creative, maybe somebody politicking for a spot, that they needed Cody present in the Rumble matches and the Chamber matches, that he was going to be their biggest draw for those. I did hear about him and Drew. The initial plan was for the payoff at WrestleMania in a Hell in a Cell, which made perfect sense to me. Perfect sense. Even Cody on the chase, though, I feel hits the same mark, gets the same effect, the same put over that you had mentioned. Even on the chase as a baby, because his only connection, his only driving force is that championship, where in today's wrestling, we said 4 years in a row he's had this opportunity. Things move a lot faster. Fans get a lot tired of it. They need to be mixed up a little bit. It would have forced the hand. Fans would have started cheering Drew. As masterful as Drew is at getting heat and playing the heel, even when the crowd absolutely loves him and supports him, he is so good at his craft that he'll get them to turn on him and to get that boost. I think this would have been that breaking point.
It's Ric Flair syndrome, right? Like, I mean, if you go back to the heyday of the Horsemen, at a certain point, Ric Flair would have to turn babyface, because the crowd was just so appreciative. There was so much respect for Flair as a performer that people would start cheering him. And then he would have to turn around and do something incredibly devious, like breaking Dusty's leg, in order to get his heat back. Like, that's inevitably how this business works.
So they were going to turn on Cody there. It is that always says. Today's age, the way to become the number one babyface is to be the number one heel.
Yep,
that's the quickest way to it.
Going all the way back to Austin. I mean, like that's literally the Stone Cold Steve Austin character. He was a heel the whole time.
Well, you start punching your boss in the nuts. Everybody loves that. You know, that's going to get you over. This road, no matter what path they take here, right now we are focused on a one-on-one, and I hope they keep that. I do not like these multi-person matches, big stages like WrestleMania. Give me something personal one-on-one. Obviously, they got a story to tell. I think it's the least appealing, the Cody Orton legacy. I think any other way they went, they could have been more just sink your teeth into something truly emotional. This is the laziest, lowest common denominator booking that you can go with here, but it is still there. You can tell a good, effective story with it. Looking at what we know from Cody, All-American kid. You know, the QB1, the guy that does this for the fans. That's who he works for. If we get that attitude out of him. Friday night, opening up that show, that was the most baby face I have seen Randy Orton in 10 years. You know, Randy's Randy. You know, going back to what we were doing the show years ago, I got you on that. Yep. I said, he's not a heel. He's not a baby. He's just Randy Orton. He does what he wants.
Yep.
This was a freaking babyface promo. You know, he's shouting out names. He's thanking everybody, acknowledging the moment, how important it is, and how he wants 15. It's funny. On one night, we're going to have a main event of two baby faces. The other night, a main event of two baby faces, except one seems to be one set of baby faces. CM Punk, Roman Reigns are already acting like insufferable dickheads towards one another.
Yeah.
So, and it almost seems on this other side with Cody and Randy that we're going to get like the BFF main event. You know, we had our legacy together. We've had family in this. This is in our DNA. Where is the draw on either side of this?
Right.
A spin-off question here for you, Jargo. Cody's QB1, obviously, here. They've got the faith in him. If it's with it, if it's on the chase, if they felt that they needed him in the Rumble, needed him in the Chamber, I get that. That's fine. Is there some kind of ceiling or feeling inside of WWE that Drew McIntyre just isn't that guy? I mean, you look at him.
Clearly.
You look at him. I mean, he is what you would, a definition of a creator wrestler. If you're going to put together that blueprint, that DNA, build it from the ground up. The guy can do everything we put over. Even when the crowd loves him, wants to cheer him, he gets that heat. He looks like $1 million. He knows how to go in the ring. The body language is incredible. He knows how to work social media. He can do the PR for you. He screams the dream of professional wrestler. But yet, they just won't seem to give him the ball to carry the team in these big moments.
Yeah. So what are we going to do with poor Drew McIntyre? I mean, obviously he does have a little bit of leeway where he can bitch about the result. Mm-hmm. We also have the potential. Do you do Drew versus Jacob at WrestleMania? Do you do Drew versus Aldis at WrestleMania? Do you do Drew somehow getting involved with this Randy Cody thing? Like, what does Drew McIntyre do for WrestleMania now?
That no matter where you send him, to me, it is a significant drop off from the possibility of what he should. Last year, Drew got a Raw deal not being in that triple threat. It would have been so easy to make that a fatal 4-way. He tied into every bit of the story they were telling with Seth Rollins, with CM Punk, with Roman Reigns. Short end of the stick. He ends up in a program with Damian Priest. Mm-hmm. He should have been the hot hand, the big heel, carrying that championship into WrestleMania. I would have absolutely loved to have seen him in Randy Orton. That would have been fine with me. Even Cody on the chase, as you'd mentioned with the Chamber, that would have been a big time payoff. Big stakes on the line there for a night one main event. Hell, I think maybe with the Hell in the Cell, that might have edged out. That could have been night 2. That could have been the headliner of the headliners.
Well, I mean, with the way that Roman and Punk is going, I mean, I'm not sure that Cody versus Randy doesn't end up being the night 2 main event.
That's a great point inside of itself. I don't know where you go with Drew. That isn't a significant letdown. Now we do have, we do know coming up this Friday, sign it on the line, contract signing. Crazy things happen in the world of professional wrestling. It doesn't matter of how it's been drawn up, what it legally states, what it's been notarized. You write your name on a contract, somehow you're in that match. So we could just have Fatu come out, steal a pen. Sammy might come out with a pen. Drew might have a pen handy. They might all sign somewhere on that son of a bitch. And we might have all sorts. We might have another Royal Rumble for a championship at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, because as I'm looking at it right now, you have Drew is on the outside looking in. Trick Willie is on the outside looking in, assuming that wasn't a complete burial last week on SmackDown. I absolutely hated that.
What a shine, brother. What a shine. A great rub for Trick.
I feel like there's a couple different ways you can look at it. And this is what I really think it was. Trick is red hot right now. And they are not ready for Trick to be red hot right now. And they had to cool him off. How do you cool him off? You have him meet an RKO from Randy Orton, like immediately. I mean,
he's young, he's brash, he's green.
Got plenty of time here. There's plenty of time.
No, I mean, just in a kayfabe sense. So he gets caught with one. Everybody gets caught with one. Randy Orton singing the praises of Trick Williams over the Pat McAfee show a couple weeks ago. Thinks the world of the kid. Thinks the world of the kid. It is so many of us just see so much potential, true star power all over Trick. I kind of am hoping, and just to go out there where you see maybe it's a slowdown, I think it's a hell of a shot. It is a moment to get out there one-on-one to share that opening, that bright spotlight with the legend, Randy Orton, to have that moment.
So I feel like you've got to pair these guys off, right? So you got Drew McIntyre, you've got Trick Williams, you've got Sami Zayn, and you've got Jacob Fatu. Those 4 talents somehow are going to get squared off with one another. What are the matches that you want to see at WrestleMania?
I've seen some suggestion from the chat. Mr. Jimmy T joining us over there. Mr. Frank Tesh got the chat moving and grooving for us right now. But across the board, each and every day, we've got 7 days of live programming. Chat's always hopping. I've seen some suggestions of maybe Trick and Sammy in a double turn. That's kind of got some intrigue to it. I still think the right option there a good story, opportunity to elevate him, get him his own spotlight is Trick in the mid card with the U.S. Championship. I think that's his spot to grab gold at WrestleMania, and it kind
Trick
of
versus
became that.
Mello.
Yeah, great story to be told there. As long as they freaking tell it. If they tell it and not assume that we know it, you got to hold people's hands through this one. I think that could be a insanely athletic bout that even casuals, lapsed fans would come to see. Great crossover appeal with those guys look for ESPN promotion. Great opportunity there. I think that is where Trick fits. Give him that mid-card title. Let him shine there to build up towards that main event. We don't need to get over anxious, over excited to over push him to that main event. It truly takes. So I wish they would slow down and take at least 2 years before we start elevating some of these people to main event. So we get that connection, learn the journey, go on the journey with them. So we truly care when they get there and we don't get so burned out when, like Cody here, 5 years in and we're sick of championship matches with his return.
What also stands out to me when you look at the four guys in the main event picture here, when you've got Cody and Randy and Punk and Roman, the youngest guy there is like 42.
Interesting, because you're just going so much longer now with a different schedule. They're working smarter. Someone with
Trick's already like 31.
Yeah. But
someone with it doesn't sound that old, but you have to remember that inside of the world of professional wrestling, Vince McMahon was ready to move off of Hulk Hogan when Hogan hit 35.
Hogan also looked like he was like 75 then too. I mean, it's just how they take care of each other, how they look.
That's fair.
Jacob Fatu is an interesting individual inside of himself. He came back and it looked like when he came back from this year with the grill, looked like he had been taking care of himself, looked focused. Cut that one hell of a sit-down interview with Cody.
That was great.
And it seemed like it was like, damn, we have found his voice. We know who he is. And it is. It's a little rough. It's street. It's gang. It's throw down. He's been places that a lot of people don't want to talk about. He's seen things and had to do things that would make people cringe, that would make people run away. That's who he should have been. Now we've lost that. They haven't spotlight. They put a spotlight on that. He hasn't been that since that moment. That's the guy we could have got behind. And you could have put into a personal program with anyone and got the most out of. But they completely cooled it off. I don't know, because they just said, hey, be you. And they didn't understand it, or it scared the shit out of them.
Probably a little bit of both. Before we talk about Roman and Punk, while we were just kind of sitting there talking, you brought up Carmelo Hayes. And sticking with Carmelo Hayes just for a second, what did you think about Dr. Wagner Jr. on SmackDown? Because I thought that kind of went over like a fart in church, even though they had I thought the video package on Dr. Wagner Jr. was actually really, really good. I've been a fan of Dr. Wagner Jr. for a very long time, but I don't think a heavyweight luchador can get over inside of the WWE presentation. It just doesn't work the same way as it does with like a Rey Mysterio, a Dragon Lee.
We need more education on lucha style, AAA, its history, how it works, the different levels of it, because it runs into, it's kind of goes down with like the legacy, the myth of ECW. Everyone just thought it was chaotic extreme when it was so much more than that. It had great heavyweights, great technical wrestlers, great lucha libre. It introduced kind of our society to that. The high flyers.
Well, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero came through ECW before they went to WCW.
All those guys came through there, and it kind of gave up that little exposure before getting to the big stage of WCW and then really taking off. But what do we remember it for? Just the over-the-top carny extreme that came with the promotion. And I think with Lucha Libre, it's the same thing. We just think about the high flyers, the small guys, the 5'5", 5'6" Rey Mysterio types, when it is this whole nother world down there. It is diverse. There is so many different flavors to sample. Jimmy and I were talking about this afternoon on This Week in WWE, and WWE, you got the best production to put together the most amazing packages in all of sport and entertainment. Focus your attention on educating, informing your audience in a fun way about what those characters really are. I know there was a little video package. I didn't think they did enough, and we need to further keep it, informing everybody on Lucha Libre. Me, myself, I'm asking that because I want to learn that as well. And you don't see anything when they got Wagner out there. I don't believe there was hardly any mention of you can actually, hey, every week we got a deal. You can watch this. Every weekend we have a show for you to follow. There's great characters. Hey, you guys, and we saw on Monday as well, a chance to tie that together. This great program we got with our Americanos, it takes a spin that you would not believe if you go south of the border. It'll turn, it will literally turn you upside down because that's what it does down there.
It's Britain, Canada versus the U.S., right? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. That's the closest thing I can compare with the imposter El Grande Americano.
Real quick on that, since we are talking about him, which one loses the mask?
Gable.
It has to be.
I think it has to be Gable. Has to be, especially since he's been cursed. Gotta love that Danhausen. I mean,
you are cursed.
And I also completely agree with Jimmy T. Dr. Wagner was very much better than El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Totally agree. Let's talk a little bit of Roman versus Punk. Huckleberry, this is going exactly how I thought it was going to go. Both of these guys are just unlikable. That segment last night with the Usos and Punk, I thought Punk came across very unlikable, and I thought Roman came across very unlikable, even though he wasn't there. Roman not being there is one of the things that makes him so unlikable, but Punk was kind of spitting truth. Like, why are you asking me to apologize? Has Roman ever apologized? Now, whataboutism is one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire freaking world. Oh, well, Trump's bombing Iran. This is awful. Well, what about when Obama bombed Somalia? You didn't care that. I don't get what the hell with whataboutism. But Punk did bring up some very good points last night. Like, we saw the Balor segment along with the Judgment Day, right? And that was the kind of turn that I like to see. Like, Balor had that moment of self-reflection where he's doing the right thing now. He's laying out he's doing the right thing. He gets beat down. The sympathy's on Balor. Balor becomes a babyface, right? You watch that deal with Punk and the Usos, nobody is coming out of this program likable. Like, who do I want to win here? Because I just want to see everybody involved get beat up at this point because there's no likable characters here.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, we got two baby faces on this side of the main events, and they're both acting like insufferable dicks. I'll tell you who won the segment last night for me was Big Jim.
Jimmy Uso? Yep.
Damn, did he lay that shot in? Dude, that looked vicious. That looked vicious.
Oof.
He had
there's a receipt
level
coming
head.
for that one, I think.
He kept himself level. Hey man, come on. Let's work through this. Just listen, just work with us while Jay's going crazy. But man, when he laid that punch in, I immediately rose up. I've been having some trouble moving here the last couple days. My knee's been cracking. Hey, it was like two Slim Jim snapping when I shot out of my chair, but he laid him down on that thing, man. That was a shot. Let me one step further this on you, Jargo. We saw what unfolded last night. Roman's not there to follow up. Even afterwards, maybe you could say Roman felt a little stunned, shocked. Did he really say that, when it happened, that he didn't react? You think maybe he'd be back this week? He is advertised for next week. Does it need to be on site for Roman Reigns? Does he look weak? Does he look like he's not ready to take care of business if it's 2 hours and wait to the last segment to address this? Should it be, as they're showing CM Punk eating his donut, walking through the arena because the champ's here kind of thing, and boom, Superman punch? Suck, I got you. It was on site. Does it need to be that? How do you play this out to get Roman to get a little respect back where his cousins were taking care of business?
That's a good one. That's a good question. I don't think so. Because I feel like if Roman is going on site on anybody, Roman has to announce that he's going on site. before he does it. Like that seems like the Roman character. He's too cool. He's too calm. He's too collected. Now, if this was Jey Uso, then yes, absolutely 1,000,000%, because he's a hothead. You saw it last night, right? Like Jimmy is the calculating one. Jey is the hothead. Roman is kind of the mixture of both. But the mob boss is going to tell you it's on site before it's on site. Right? Like that is the mob boss character. That is the head of the bloodline. If he's issuing an on-site order, he will do that publicly before he fully goes after it.
If you see that in his character, I mean, I'm kind of putting together like a dude at a bar. You don't, I guess I have seen it. You run your mouth. Hey, I see next time I see you out, it's on.
Yep. It's on site.
I was kind of thinking, if it's a guy.
You have to announce it first. Otherwise, it loses a bit of the pizzazz for me.
All right. I like that. I actually really, really like that. Let's utilize social media. Have Roman's team go to social media and say, you know what? I wasn't there. I had some other things I had to do. I was very committed to because I am a pro. I don't sit there and just run my mouth like CM Punk. I hold to my commitments. I learned that from my father. But I am going to be there, and I'm going to let you know, CM Punk, my flight arrives at so-and-so in the morning, and I'm going to be all over that city looking for you.
Yep.
Tweet that out. Do that now. Give it a week to get going. Let the sheets, all of us talking heads, get on our shows and talk about it. Open up the show with Adam Pearce coming out, the man who is the man that demands respect, that is the authority to keep the show, keep the peace, keep everything moving. And have him say, no, that he actually had a security escort meet Roman Reigns at the airport, getting off the private jet. They are going to be flanking him all afternoon, and Roman Reigns will not be permitted anywhere near the arena until 10 p.m. tonight. Stick around for it. That gets you off the hook with all that stuff, and it builds up. Oh, shit. Now they got them on lockdown. They're doing everything they can to keep these two apart. I got to be there at 10 o'clock to see when this comes to a head.
Well, it's one of those things. We could just put Roman in a black ski mask and get a bunch of other jack dudes, and they could play like, the cup game where they like swirl all the cups around so nobody knows which one is Roman.
The masked man Boogaloo.
Yeah, it's not even worth talking about.
Are all of those sets students? Because the school must be doing well.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Oos on site. Yep, I completely agree, Frank. Completely agree. That whole segment should have been Oos on site. Yep, completely agreed. But they gave him the opportunity to issue the apology. All Punk had to do was say, "Listen, I'm sorry to you guys. I'm sorry to Sifa, but I'm not apologizing for what I said about Roman Reigns." And you guys should be requesting an apology from Roman. Look at how he treated you and your entire family for years. Punk had some great moments inside of that promo last night, but all in all, it just, the end of that promo, when the credits came up, I was waiting for something else. I was waiting for the big Triple H, there's the credits and here's your cut scene. And then it was just over. It felt very abrupt.
Very flat finish.
Yeah. Didn't like it. Yeah.
Yes.
I did a lot of things.
I like how
Zilla
Fatu even chimed in on social media saying, and that's how he sees CM Punk. It's on site.
Oh my God.
I love it. You got to get everybody involved. Get them involved.
Oh,
that's when you mess with one of them, you got a whole island.
Yeah, and he absolutely will do it. I want to give you a second to vent here while I take a drink. But I'm sure that you have plenty to say about Oba Femi and Rusev. And you want to talk about flat. I thought we were going to get the big Hoss fight, and instead we got 3 minutes.
Yeah. No bread, no water, just meat. And it ended up being one of those impossible burgers. Now, I wasn't expecting Rusev to go out and dominate and, put Oba down for an extended period of time, but I was expecting him to get the upper hand, and it would be by hook or crook, going out there, jumping in from behind, some kind of low blow, cheap shot to the eyes, just to show. And I wouldn't have had Oba really leave his feet, maybe go to a knee or something like that. But the match, it really felt, they just really had a weird chemistry in there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you do run into that, and I hope this isn't a tell This might have been a send him out there, maybe a test for Oba. A lot of his opponents in NXT are considerably smaller than him. So they can go out and create a lot of movement to make the big guy look really good.
Yep.
You run into an issue a lot of times when you get a lot of heavyweights working with each other because you don't have somebody to create that movement, to get up there, to get that height, that athleticism for those big spots, to really sell the impact of those power moves. That is a real issue inside of heavyweights versus heavyweights. Two guys like this, little let down by it. I was looking forward to it, especially. Hey, I have enjoyed me some squash matches. If it be Kitty Cat Wilson over there, if it be the Miz, whoever he was putting down, absolutely loved it. I hope Oba didn't kill Sorry Johnny. I hope we still get a little bit more of that. We saw him coming out of it, but I think he's going to go right back into the shell. The biggest tell for Obafemi this week, especially on Raw, and brother, they keep teasing it, is they run those segments back to back. It's either Oba, Brock, Oba. If they don't deliver on that, you're going to see major backlash from undelivered on expectations from this audience.
And I don't think you're going to get it. So from the reporting that I was seeing from our friends over at No DQ today, Mr. Aaron Rift, he is reporting that Brock Lesnar is only going to lose one more match in his career.
His last one.
And I feel like there are two candidates that deservedly should beat Brock Lesnar at this point. One is Obafemi and the other is Gunther. Those are the two guys that need to defeat Brock Lesnar. And maybe we do get both of those matches. Maybe they do both go over Brock Lesnar. But the name that I am hearing, and it has been laid out, LA Knight, versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And that's what the whole Paul Heyman, LA Knight driving him off in the ambulance thing was to set up, was so that we can get to LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar. Talk about a miss. My God, would that be a miss?
I love me some LA Knight. Yeah, but you talk about the perennial loser. No one is going to give an opportunity to, or even, and when they're not even giving a glimpse of an opportunity, a chance to win that thing, they're going to completely turn themselves off to it. It hasn't been like he's been on any kind of hot streak. It's not like you're telling some incredible underdog story with him going up against a monster like Brock Lesnar for the pure spectacle of it. And they might try to use this match with Rusev saying, see, it didn't work well with the two big men. He's not ready for something like, don't give me that bullshit. That's the same sorry excuses they gave us about why they canceled Hogan and Flair back in the day. Oh, it was bad testing in the house shows. BS. We all know there was political shit back then. Neither one was wanted to go out there and really put the other one over. They both knew they were made, getting all the money they want, could name their price. They didn't need to go out there and do it. There was more to that. Brock Lesnar only going to lose, if it's true or not, they're only going to lose one more. I don't need a winner in that match at WrestleMania. Go out there and throw it out and run it back later on.
Fair.
Build up for it. A lot of times you don't need the big delivery. And having somebody go over is probably the worst case scenario either side at this point for both of them, because there's a bigger payoff later for an eventual winner. This is like that nice sampler at Sam's Club, brother. Big old steak out there. You get it, just a little bit of the bite of it. Just a little bit of those juices. And it's going to you're going to come back wanting a lot more later on.
That's a squash, right? Brock Lesnar, LA Knight, that's a squash. That's a 5-minute squash match.
I hate to say it because, man, I really like LA Knight. I think it's just evident that they don't, we talked about not having the faith in Drew. There's nowhere near any of that faith for LA Knight inside of this company.
But there's a big difference in that Drew McIntyre delivers.
LA Knight, has he had the opportunity to? They haven't even given him an opportunity to.
Sure. Every time they give him an opportunity, he botches it. Every time.
I think that LA Knight in that falls flatter than when they put Moxley out there against Lesnar.
Yeah, I think it's a squash. I think it's a 5-minute squash. Suplex City, bitch. Yeah.
Does it squash more than LA Knight in the match? Is that just tells the fans to give up on this guy? Stop supporting him?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's not a squash. That's a killer.
Eli Drake is all elite. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that. One more match that seemingly has been made official for WrestleMania, at least in my brain. Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. That seems a foregone conclusion to me at this point, whether or not it's for the AAA Mega Championship or if it's just a regular singles match. I forget who it was. Was it Artist or Frank was asking, do we get the Demon at WrestleMania? I think so. I think this is where the Demon comes back at WrestleMania. It is Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
Dom Mysterio is enough of a massive force to unwake the Demon, or to wake or whatever you want to go with it. But I don't see that. Finn Balor should be able to go out there and whoop Dom's ass. Donahue, or whatever the hell, JD McDonough, isn't enough muscle at his side to do that for me. The girls aren't going to do enough. Ending Judgment Day is not enough for a calling for the Demon. I think it'd be a fun match in that. I think it does need a little something to get the interest. Maybe the Demon is the answer to that. People are just hungry for the Demon. And especially to have something on stage like that for the spectacle. I think it would have been great to have the IC Championship involved in this thing. You know, maybe well, I think it'd be very telling because we do have the Mega Championship this Saturday, right? With Vikingo.
Yep, and I do think that Dominic loses because Dominic is still cursed.
Did we get Danhausen and AAA this weekend?
I don't think we get Danhausen and AAA this weekend, but the curse, it doesn't just apply to in a WWE ring. Like, he is cursed all the way around.
I will tell you this, not to spit off too much from what our focal point there. I'm WWE. That's my product. I have Danhausen all over social media talking about being there, talking about that. And have him and Dom start interacting on social media. Dom, like, what can I do to get this curse lift? I got a championship match. Because if Dom loses that, he's gone from AAA.
Yeah.
And you're telling me if you got social media for those types that are following it, you can advertise it on SmackDown. Get Danhausen there. See if people tune in for that thing.
Yeah, I would tune in for Danhausen versus Mr. Iguana. I would. I mean, that might be one of the better matches they can get put out.
I will tune in. I don't even want him wrestling. I'll just tune in to see what that would just see him. He hasn't been on television for 10 minutes, and it's been the best WWE programming that we've had in a week and a half.
Yep, I completely agree. Let's leave the road to WrestleMania. Let's take the fork. Let's head off towards Revolution this Sunday on pay-per-view. We're finally going to get to talk a little bit of AEW. We talked it last week, and we said, MJF versus Kevin Knight is going to be a fantastic match that is going to go 20 minutes, and MJF goes over strong. We were wrong, Huckleberry. It only went 18 minutes, but it was exactly what we expected it to be. It was to a T what we said that it was going to be last Tuesday.
Yeah, to me, it did nothing for MJF here on this build. I'm not more intrigued for anything that's in his main event. These types of matches do not make your champions look great. We talked at the open of the show about college basketball, mid-majors, and powerhouses. If the Miami of Ohio Redhawks would somehow get to the, line up against the Duke Blue Devils in the tournament and somehow miraculously lose by only 8 points, the conversation isn't, wow, those Redhawks were damn good. It's, this Devils team might have been exposed. They're not as good. That's what you get. And it's the same comparison here when top guys are wrestling down, going 50-50 or worse than that in matches with these mid-card talents. Not a complete knock against Mr. Knight. I actually have some notes here where I'd like to see him go. I think there is potential for him to be one of the major players inside of All Elite Wrestling.
I agree.
This is just not the way to showcase that.
There was, I don't know if you saw Collision this past weekend, but there was a really good segment with Swerve Strickland and Kevin Knight, where Swerve was like, giving him his, like, listen, this is the last piece of advice I'm going to give you, but you've got all the talent in the world. If you want to be a killer, you got to surround yourself with killers. Right. And
I like that.
I like that a lot. And I do. I think there is a lot of potential in Kevin Knight. The only thing that I do disagree just a little bit with you on is I think on occasion you need to have MJF go out and have one of these matches on TV, because I do think there is a large part of the audience that does not get the pay-per-views because they're stupid expensive inside of the modern landscape, especially when you're doing them every, 3 weeks or thereabouts.
Well, this one's had a big hold off. They haven't had one since like the end of the year, like early January, end of the year.
I know, but then the one right after Revolution is literally 3 weeks after. 3 weeks. That's what they've got. I feel like you do need to have Max wrestle once in a while so that people can see it and be like, oh shit, like this kid can really go. He's not just a kid with a microphone.
I think it's wrestling. I just need to be 17 minutes against mid-card talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, that's exactly what we said was going to happen. Again, predictability inside of pro wrestling. It's just one thing that was not predictable inside of AEW this week. David Finlay debuting for AEW. It seemed a foregone conclusion that he was going to NXT. They had already actually started kind of putting together the storyline that he was going to be joining his brother inside of NXT, and along with this faction with William Dempsey, Steven Regal's kid, or William Regal. I think they're twins. And you were also going to have Brian Pillman Jr. in there, and then bring in David Finlay. And it was kind of going to be a legacy kind of thing. And when I saw Finlay debut, I texted you and said, well, clearly he didn't want to go to NXT. Evidently, that was actually the plan. He was supposed to go to NXT and join up with that faction, and he decided to go to AEW instead. I'm not sure that this is a great pickup for AEW. I'm not a big believer in David Finlay. The guy who single-handedly killed the Bullet Club. But I think it's a smart move for him as far as his position and getting paid and being on national television on a weekly basis. But I don't think this is going to mean anything. That AEW roster is so stacked right now, and it sounds like the War Dogs, what they're going to be is going after the trios titles. That set of titles that nobody cares about. That's kind of going to be their role, at least for now.
Well, so many people, and I'll admit, coming in the debut for him, didn't recognize him, don't know a whole lot about him, haven't really been in tune with the New Japan product for quite some time. As you said, he was the quarterback there for the Bullet Club during their downfall. I think there's a lot we can attribute towards the fall of the Bullet Club.
Let me comment on this wonderful thing here from the artist. He didn't kill Bullet Club, House of Torture, and Evil Dead. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But David Finlay was the de facto leader of Bullet Club, and he split Bullet Club into two factions, the War Dogs and the House of Torture. And that is effectively what killed Bullet Club. If we're going to blame Donald Trump for everything that goes wrong inside of our government, then we're going to blame the leader of the faction when the faction goes defunct. Sorry, yeah. It's on David Finlay.
Whoever's got the ball is going to get the blame when it all goes south. Just a part of it. I would say what killed the Bullet Club is the reality of the business is when they lost all momentum with westward expansion. And
I blame Gato. I agree. It's all Gato's fault.
And AEW's creation for taking that style and just putting it in our backyard when they were so hot just before the shutdown and all that. There's a lot of business factors that play into that. And you look at New Japan struggling as a whole right now. And you were telling me just not New Japan, it's pro wrestling in Japan.
Yeah. If we're going to be honest, what truly killed Bullet Club was COVID. When the Gaijin talent couldn't get into Japan and they never recovered. They had to push Bullet Club down the card. Evil had to kind of, take that Bullet Club moniker just to keep it going while the Gaijin talent couldn't get into the country. That's what really killed Bullet Club. Inevitably, it's also what's kind of killed professional wrestling in Japan at this point. They lost so much during the pandemic and they have not recovered. And the reason that they have not recovered is because A, AEW, B, they can't retain talent. I mean, whether it's Gaijin or domestic. I mean, Evil is leaving New Japan. Sonata is leaving New Japan. Hiromu is leaving New Japan. Naito has already gone over to Noah. Bushi went over to Noah.
What's the biggest
is obviously out.
Is it just simple pay, or is it just better business practices, better living?
I mean, there's so many factors there. Honestly, I think the biggest one is the money, because if you follow any of the domestic or international financial markets, the yen has plummeted versus the dollar, right? If you go back in time to before COVID, they were on more equal standing. 999 yen came out to about $10, and now the yen has severely dropped off. So, and they were with the downturn in business, because let's remember, New Japan still has to sing for their supper. They still have to put butts in seats. That is still their main source of revenue. It's not American Pro Wrestling where you have $1 billion Netflix deal. They have to put butts in seats. And with the downturn in business because of COVID, they were asking a lot of talents to take pay cuts because the money just wasn't there. And the talent was like, no, screw that, I'm out. And that's when you saw the original mass exodus, like Okada leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling and coming stateside for the all-American dollar, which then he can take back to Japan and convert into lots of yen. I mean, like so many yen, right? Not that Okada needs the money. I mean, hell, he's not even the breadwinner in his family. But I mean, the point still remains, the money is just not on par, not on par at all.
Interesting point from the artist returns here. I would agree with this on the surface. Again, I don't know completely as we pull back the layers on this thing. So this is true. Japan should be a haven for indie talent, especially large guys with a semblance of talent that can go out there and handle themselves. I mean, why not start picking off some of these big bodies that are in the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, so Major League Wrestling, those types? There's plenty of them out there that you could probably get on a cheaper that would love an opportunity just because of the historic relevance of going over there, cutting your teeth, learning that strong style. That seems to be an avenue that they should be going to produce new revenue and new talents and draws there. When it comes to Mr. Finley and making a choice as he comes to the States here, I can definitely see some advantages in choosing AEW over going to NXT. The climb to the top to get that opportunity in WWE is a hell of an undertaking and an extreme long shot. So
and
instead
he's
of
not
going,
a big dude. He's not a WWE body type.
Okay,
kind
so he's
of
not
dude.
that. So he's going to fit more into the style of AEW.
Absolutely.
He's not going to have to report to development. He's not going to have to work at the PC center or at the performance center. Not going to have to do any touring. I know WWE scaled way back, but they still do a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. And that long shot of ever even getting a call up, as you said, let alone make it. So now he's getting offered probably some pretty damn good money, probably right, or better than what he was going to do with a development deal with WWE. Getting shot right onto television, 1-2 days a week. There you go. If that's for you, that's for you. That's what he chose there, and it makes perfect sense to me. I'm not blown away by the debut. To me, it's just like everybody else. You're into a faction. Here we go. Yep. It's part of that Japanese style where it's team wrestling. It did make me wonder, is AEW needs to start selling like jerseys for all these factions and teams that they got going on. Get with Starter. Get me some puffy jackets, man, with some fashions on there.
Yeah,
But
just make it the same color as the Charlotte Hornets. You'll sell a ton of them.
yeah, just get to copy all those from the late 90s with your faction logos on there. You're good to go. So I don't think he's not going to be an Impact player, but I don't think he was going to be that anywhere.
I think the other problem with New Japan at this point, and this is the reason I pointed out that, you know, there's nobody in the WrestleMania main event picture under the age of 42. When I was doing Destino, I was screaming from the mountaintops. And keep in mind, this is 5 years ago. We need to make new stars. You have to create new stars because the old stars are on their way out. Well, now the old stars are out. Naito is gone. Nakamura is gone. Okada is gone. Tanahashi is gone. Muda is gone. Nagata is gone. All you're left with is the leader of the Bread Club, Satoshi Kojima, who's, you know, like the timeless wonder of Japanese professional wrestling. And right now, their champion is Yota Tsuji. I like Yota Tsuji. I think Yota Tsuji is one hell of a talent, but he's not over. He's not over. Yuya Uemura, he's not over. Shooter Umino, he's not over. Like if they would have started creating new stars when I was screaming about it 5 years ago, they wouldn't be having the problems that they're having. And maybe they would be able to retain some of their Gaijin talent as well. As it is, everybody is just on their way out because they haven't made any new stars in years. You could argue the last like homegrown star that New Japan Pro Wrestling made was Hiromu. And that was what, a decade ago when Hiromu debuted and they turned him into a star, and then they put a ceiling on him immediately because he was a junior heavyweight. And that's why he left. I totally get that. But they haven't created any new stars for people to invest in, for people to care about. And that has been the real downfall of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, when your main event, and this is nothing against either one of these talents, but when you have Jake Lee versus Yota Tsuji as your main event, that ain't putting the asses in seats that Okada and Tanahashi were putting in there. Hell, even Kenny Omega was drawing way bigger houses. And I completely agree with the artist. New Japan has always been a Gaijin-oriented foil company. Yes, that's how Japanese pro wrestling works. If you've never heard my rant about this, the second biggest export that the United States has ever made to Japan is professional wrestling. Number one is baseball, for anybody that is curious. But number two is professional wrestling.
I thought you were going to say the bomb.
And well, Japanese professional wrestling goes around, the Gaijin talent, the foreign talent comes in, takes the title, and the homegrown hero has to come back and rise up and win back the belt. That's the way Japanese professional wrestling has worked for the last 70 years. And it's still built the same exact way. But now they don't have the Gaijin talent. The Gaijin talent is basically gone.
Do they still have their working relationship with All Elite Wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why aren't we focusing more like they did back in the day with WCW to have that reverse excursion sort of thing, you know, where you had guys and you have such a well of talent signed to AEW that could easily be sent on loan for 3-month tours or something like that, 3 to 6 month tours.
Absolutely.
It sounds like business practice wise, they are just twiddling their thumbs. They're kicking back, that they're not really interested in exploring the possibilities to fix themselves. So,
well, I mean, the one that really, really hurts, as far as I'm concerned, is not David Finlay. It's Gabe Kidd. I see a ton of potential in Gabe Kidd, but Gabe Kidd is the guy that, even though he was in Bullet Club at the time, he shows up for a match against AEW talent. I think it was against Omega. And he was fighting for New Japan Pro Wrestling. He showed up in his young boy trunks with a New Japan logo on the back, and it wasn't about Bullet Club, anything like that. He was defending home because he was a New Japan talent. He came up in a New Japan dojo, born and raised, and he was going to stick up. The dirty Gaijin was going to stick up for New Japan, which was a great story.
Yeah.
and then he pieces the fuck out and goes to AEW. I mean, when you can't retain that dude, you've got a real problem.
Well, how strong is your partnership if your partner's just stealing everyone from you?
Yeah, well, I mean, think of all the territories that did business with Vince McMahon. Let's preview Revolution, and I want to start with a match that's not on Revolution, at least not as of yet. Saturday on Collision, Tommaso Ciampa turns heel, aligns himself with FTR against Mark Briscoe, and Ciampa versus Briscoe is not being advertised for AEW Revolution? What? You're going to give me a big boom AJ match against a talent yet to be announced, but we're not getting Tommaso Ciampa versus Mark Briscoe?
Influencer over strong, baby. There is a draw there with it. It's a novelty match there for the pay-per-view, and you still need something for your television. And I think that kind of works. I think that's the mindset with them.
I don't understand.
When I saw Ciampa interacting with FTR, I thought my first was, this works. It looks like a pairing. But then immediately it's like, don't do this. Don't do this. We don't need more of the faction stuff, the trios threats, all of this here. But it looked like they were going out. You just had that sense.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I like the pairing. Given all the history between DIY and FTR, I absolutely like it. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Gargano gets
more
there.
Of the same old. Don't take away my sad Johnny.
I know. I'm enjoying Sad Johnny too. Let's take a look at the matches that are announced for the card. Ricochet is defending the national championship, which shouldn't even exist. And this is kind of the epitome of why it shouldn't exist in a 21-man battle royal. One champion versus 20 other dudes in a battle royal for his championship.
Hey, you can't say he's not a fighting champion.
Aha! I enjoy this Ricochet act. I am. I think
he's doing great. I think he's doing great work with it here. But I mean, do we really need first, do we need all these championships? But to put it in a battle royal.
Well, I mean, here's one thing that really, really stood out to me. The WWE shows lately have been 4 matches. This freaking show, it's going to be like 12 matches. It's absurd.
I've always said this, and I would go round and round with the money guys when I was with Professional Wrestling Alliance, and I've brought this up in meetings no matter which indie promotion I'm working with. It's not match count. Because they would always say, we got to hit this number. We got to have our tag match. We got to have our women's match. You got to have our championship main event. And you fill in like a feud or something like that, or a big name, that has been on television. You have your TV guide match. It's not the match count. It's the show time that matters the most. I don't care if you got 15 matches, if you got 4 matches. In and out in 2.5 hours, or you're going to lose your audience. You go past that 2.5, hit that 3-hour mark, you have ruined your main event. You've done them a tremendous disservice because you have lost your audience, lost your connection for that. And I know Tony Khan, he's one of those wrestling sickos. He thinks everybody wants to go out there and see 15, 20-minute move fest and all that. And he thinks you're going to be okay, numb on your ass for 8 hours for these marathons. God, my heart goes out to the likes of Jimmy T, the Professor, and a vet that's going to have to sit and review that next week. They're going to have to do Dynamite Collision and what might be a 4 to 5 hour pay-per-view, especially on a Sunday night, right? Where people have got to turn around and do things on a Monday. This ain't where you can just sit down and waste your whole Saturday afternoon, let alone other things going on. But, but this is a Sunday. You want to get in, get out. There's a lot of
you might have more matches on Revolution than you have the 2 nights of WrestleMania combined.
That's not a good thing in my eyes.
No. That's what made those NXT Black and Gold shows so great. 2.5 hours in and
That's
out.
what really set that standard. You knew, because they would go 5 to 6, sometimes 4 if it was something they called, like a War Games where you knew it was going to be longer.
There was a special novelty match, yeah.
You could set it that NXT would have you out there in 2.5 hours. And you got your excitement level around that.
And the other problem is there's a championship on the line in almost every match.
Well, I'm looking through this
just
card.
devalues every championship.
This could have made for some hot television through the week to spike your thing. Some of these matches could have been very easily moved to a Dynamite or a Collision as your build or Revolution week or Run the Revolution. Here we go. And then cut it down to your biggest 5 matches for the Sunday night payoff.
Ricochet retains. I mean, especially since we don't know who else is in the Battle Royal. I just assume Ricochet retains.
Yeah. Bunch of Ring of Honor people.
And Ricochet's doing a great job with that title. I mean, the title doesn't mean anything, but Ricochet's doing a great job. The Don Callis family, Protocada Open is what I'm calling the team. Protocada Open, taking on Jet Speed and Mystico for the AEW Trios titles, which this is going to be one of those 20 to 25 minute filler matches that are going to be like the action's going to be absolutely insane. And
you know how much I just want to beat my head into my desk because you said 20 to 25 minute filler match.
Yeah, I know, right?
This should be a television match.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. Protocada Open. Poor Kevin Knight taking 2 losses on Dynamite last week. Ouch. A match that has a title that is not on the line. The Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito taking on Andrade El Idolo in a fanboy match. I'm pretty sure that's the stipulation here. It's a fanboy match because Bandito was a big fan of Andrade when La Sombra was huge in Mexico and Bandito was a kid, and now he wants to have a match with Andrade. Again, it's going to be a killer match. These two guys are going to go out there and tear the freaking house down. Andrade is the best that he's looked probably since he was La Sombra. I don't care who wins. I don't care who wins. I assume Andrade wins, but I don't care.
Television match. Artist pointing out something here. Pay-per-view on a Sunday running against Selection Sunday and the Oscars.
Yeah, nobody watches the Oscars. That's why it's going to YouTube here in a couple of years.
I'm not saying the Oscars on it, but something major. I don't think you're at the same audience there, but certainly with Championship Selection Sunday. Not a good run.
Yeah. How many people that are watching the Oscars are like, do I tune into the Oscars or All Elite Wrestling? Yeah, I don't think you're splitting much of the audience there.
Who's got the crazier hair? Conan O'Brien, the host, or Tony Khan?
Timeless Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. This is another one of those matches that feels like it should have been on TV. I'm sure they're going to go out. They're going to work hard. I'm sure the match is going to be good. But again, I don't care who wins or loses. I have no investment in this feud.
Tony Storm, one of the hottest commodities, best acts, not just in AEW, but all of professional wrestling over the last couple of years. I talked a little bit earlier about how Cody, moving on from that championship. Tony's done that, but it seems that when she got into that mixed tag stuff, that was the setback. When we lost her universe, the cinematic world that she had there, those kinds of storylines, definite setback here. Fine enough match. She said these ladies they've got a backstory. They've been working a program. It's just screams television.
Yeah.
Would have been a very nice, Saturday night draw. Tune in for this one for Collision. It would have been a great grab for him.
What is the bigger match here? Right? This is an interesting one for me. What's the bigger match? Timeless Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir or Tekla versus Chris Statlander, 2 out of 3 falls? I mean, I still feel like the Storm and Shafir match is the bigger match of the two.
It is because of Tony Storm. Because Timeless Tony Storm is, again, just not all elite wrestling, but in professional wrestling. one of the hottest commodities, the best act because of the character, the connection, and what she has done for us. But real quick, if you don't mind, I'll talk about that Tekla and Statlander match. 2 out of 3 falls. This is interesting to me. Statlander recently in an interview talked about her title run, winning that from Tony, and very surprising that she was so open, and it made so much sense. And it shows that she understood this. And maybe those that put the belt on her did not understand this. The title win felt very flat because there was no connection, no story, no chase for her, no program with Tony. It was literally Tony just selecting 3 people in a fatal 4-way match to go out there and just put on a show. Go work your ass off. That's great. But there was no connection, no emotion when she won that. So her first title run there was a failure because there was no drive, no reason for it. Sounds like she had been, pitching that, telling people that reason this thing isn't working is because I don't have a connection with this audience. And this was a huge reset for her. Let's get it back on a heel. Let the baby go on the chase. See if we can do something with it. I just afraid it was too late.
Well, you say Statlander recognizes that she's not connecting with the audience. Is anybody thought of the fact that Statlander's just not that good?
That could be an issue too.
Nothing against Statlander, but her character is all over the place. I don't know if she's an alien or if she's a badass
is she a best friend this week, and then she's turning, and now they're back to front. I mean, they're all over the map with her.
She doesn't even know what her character is supposed to be. So how am I supposed to know what her character is supposed to be?
Or care, more importantly, or care about it.
And that's why Timeless Tony Storm is Timeless Tony Storm, because she is 100% in on that character, right? I mean, she is living that gimmick. Absolutely. She's all in.
I don't think the blade really is on Statlander. She's just trying to work with what they're giving her. I think it's above her that doesn't understand anything with it.
I don't think she understands it. I think that's the problem. I don't think she understands it at all. Another one that I don't understand, evidently, we have the AEW BMF championship. At least it feels like that's what this is for. Brody King versus Swerve Strickland. And when this was announced, I was just like, wait, but Brody King versus Swerve? Like, I thought we were doing Kenny Omega versus Swerve. I thought this entire program was to set up Kenny Omega versus Swerve. That was the whole point of Swerve turning heel in that match. And then Omega comes back and Swerve gets his comeuppance. And no, we're not doing any of that.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Omega doesn't have a video game show he's got to go to?
I don't know what the hell is going on here. I don't even understand. I understand what they're going for, that they want Swerve to be, the most dangerous man in AEW, and Tony Khan feels like that is a heel character. It's not. I talk about swimming against the tide, trying to get people to boo Swerve. I don't care if he does choke out Brody King with a freaking chain. People are just into Swerve. This is the Trick Williams thing, right?
Swerve has a charisma and an appeal that draws people towards him. Well, one of the most frustrating fan aspects that I've had in watching All Elite Wrestling is how they have handled Swerve from the get-go. His championship run, the moment he won that thing, the next night they have him come out and do a 20-minute wrestling match. Then they hold his celebration till Saturday. They should have been embracing this man as the new face of this company that was going to lead them forward a brave new direction in professional wrestling. You've got a guy, we're putting over the charisma, the draw, the connection. He's got tremendous crossover appeal. This is the guy that can grow your brand. But nope, movesets and rope work from King Dork ruined this from the get-go. Never been able to recover from it. You toss in Prince Nana, the perfect complement to this thing. to get people moving, to get them motivated, those big pop moments, that high energy that sells your events. You had all of that. And at the
Even
core, the
stupid
nucleus
theme?
could have been Swerve.
I don't get it. I mean, that one, and it's very much the Trick Williams thing too, where it's just like people are not going to boo Swerve right now, especially when you're going to have Swerve is just, he's so cool. That's what it is. The dude is so cool. He's got that Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, like, yeah, I'm supposed to be the heel, but
I was just going to say, oozing
the
machismo.
coolest person in the room, like, of course people are into Swerve. The dude is awesome. And the only thing that was holding Swerve back a little bit was his size. And he was like, okay, then I'm going to leave for 6 months and I'm going to come back jacked as fuck. Problem solved. Like,
I never thought about the size because, I mean, he had such a presence about him.
Yeah, but he clearly went from being a junior heavyweight to a heavyweight. Like, he clearly was trying to look like a main event player, and he does. And it doesn't seem like it has really inhibited his moveset at all either. Go get into the Swerve Strickland business. That's what AEW should be doing. They should be in the Swerve Strickland business at this point. FTR versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championship, because, we've never seen that match before.
But
I'm more interested in the match tomorrow night on Dynamite, because it's going to be FTR with Tommaso Ciampa versus Dem Bucks, Mark Briscoe, and the Young Bucks. Like, I'm almost more intrigued for the trios match than I am for the championship match on Sunday.
Hey, but the championship match, it's going to decide the greatest of a generation.
I guess. I mean, the Bucks are like, no, it's personal now because, you beat up our brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'd rather have it be about legacy rather than trying to make it out like it's something personal, but what do I know? Moxley versus Takeshita for the AEW Continental Championship. We're taking all of the Continental Championship rules and we're getting rid of them for this match. I mean, it's going to be a banger. It doesn't, I feel like Moxley wins this match, probably due to interference from the Don Callis family. And this is where we finally get the official Takeshita babyface turn. Like, I feel like,
yeah,
that's the compromise.
That's the after story payoff.
If you're going to turn Swerve heel, you've got to turn some heel into a babyface. And I feel like it's Takeshita. I feel like we're just switching those two on which side of the roster they're on. And This is the match to do that.
Yep. Throw the rule books out there. All hell's going to break loose. We're going back to a typical Moxley match here. Going to be probably a blood fest. Going to get everybody involved in this thing. Moxley wins.
I wouldn't be surprised if this goes an hour.
But
I would not be surprised if it goes an hour.
Moxley and the Death Riders raise Tashida's hand at the end to kind of signify, okay, man, he's got our respect. Fans should respect him. This is the turn.
I wonder if you get a double turn in this match, but not in the essence of how we know a double turn to be. I wonder if Takeshita turns babyface because he gets thrown out by the Don Callis family, and Moxley remains a babyface, and the rest of the Death Riders go heel. Like, I could see both factions turning on both of these guys through the course of the match, almost leaving them as Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. Like, we're not friends, but we're allies of convenience at this point against both of these factions.
Yeah, something unique.
I kind of feel like, you could see a double swerve here. Not instead of a double turn, we'll call it a double swerve. I feel like that's a real possibility for this match. And then, of course, we have the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in a Texas death match. Hangman Adam Page versus Big Hebrew MJF. I love the new nickname. I absolutely love Big Hebrew. I popped so big when I saw that on the back of his ring jacket. Big Hebrew. And of course, if Hangman loses, he can never challenge for the AEW Championship again. As we laid out last week, I think this is Tony Khan finally being like, okay, I can finally tell my Cody story. because that was always the story with Cody that they never really got to tell because Cody left the company for greener pastures. But now we're going to tell this story with Hangman Page. When this match was announced, I was all in that it was going to be cowboy up, crown down. I don't believe that to be the case anymore. I think this is Big Hero over Strong.
I'm looking at the last match we just talked about and this one. I hope they space them out on the match. You're throwing all the rules out there in that Continental match, and you got a Texas death match. So make sure there's separation here because whichever one goes first is going to have an advantage. It's going to be hard to follow.
That's a good point.
So you're going to do your main event a disservice. I agree. Again, carry your company. Heel should be strong there. All the babies on the chase with MJF. He is just in a league of his own with the rest of this roster right now. He's got to be that top guy. You put a stipulation in like this for Hangman, though, can't challenge for that championship. Now, God knows there's enough other championships that he could pursue to keep him occupied. But it's all about that top prize. And when you have taken that away, I mean, that essentially is the livelihood, your driving force, your reason for breathing, existing inside of the company, the promotion. Whatever story that Tony had in store for Cody, I hope it was a good one because it's going to have to be deep. It's going to have to be emotional, and it's going to have to get people, no pun intended here, to go along for the long ride, the hero's redemption story with Hangman Page. I hope they have long-term storytelling laid out. They know what they're getting into with his character to pay this thing off. But I agree with you, MJF up in a long, lonely ride for Hangman going forward.
And I mean, inevitably, Hangman will somehow trick a heel, be it Swerve probably would be the one that would make the most sense, whether it be, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, the heel gets tricked into giving Hangman a championship match. That's
just like a Western. You see, I love the Westerns, man. I watch them all the time, but that story, the fallen hero, like the lawman that lost his nerve or, couldn't bring in the desperado that, was the most notorious guy in the territory or something like that. So he leaves. And we have seen this with Hangman before. Maybe revisit a little bit where he turns to that bottle. He gives up all hope. We show maybe even his family leaves him, man. He has lost it. And on another route, another story that you're telling is that such an evil arises in AEW to take over the reins, that takes control, even more vile and disgusting than MJF. And you finally get to a point where the only person that can save you is the lost cowboy, the guy you got to return to and hope that you can restore his confidence to get him back to that gunslinger, take no BS, bring in that outlaw at all cost individual. And then you ask him, please, we'll strip the stipulation. You're the one that has to go save the town. AEW.
I feel like they already did that story though. And the funny part is they did that story with Ospreay and they did that story with Swerve. And it was like, who's going to take the title from Moxley? And Ospreay's like, first I thought it was me and then I thought it was you. But the reality, bruv, is it's him. Like, I feel like they've already told that story. That's the problem. They already told that story without telling that story.
There's so many stories. What do they say in wrestling? It's what is it, like a 6 or 7 year cycle before you start repeating?
Yep. And I feel like this is a perfect example of Heyman. I forget, was it on Busted Open maybe? Was saying that he was the only one that for the last 6 months has been screaming from the rooftops, what are we doing with Saudi Mania? Like, what is going, and then book backwards from there. I feel like that's what we've got to do here. So this has to be, I'm going to say 2 years out before Hangman gets challenged for this championship again, because you're going to have the rest of this MJF title run. Ospreay beats MJF in Wembley to become the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Swerve takes the title from Ospreay and has it for, 6 to 8 months. And then you have Hangman versus Swerve reinvigorating that rivalry, assuming they can get Swerve over as a heel, which I'm just not sold on. I'm not sold on that at all.
Yeah, so we'll see where they go with that.
How is this MJF title run working for you? Because I have seen some people saying that it's stale already because it's MJF with the title. Like they want something new out of MJF with the title, and I feel like this is MJF with the title. Like it works.
It's MJF with the title. He is in a league of his own. He's the one that carries his company. He needs to be up there. Responsibility is on Tony and his management team to create those babies chasing that we care about instead of just the movesets and the rope work.
Yeah, and that's the key. If you're going to crown a heel champion, you had better have put together at least like 6 contenders as baby faces to go after that champion. And when you flip the title to one of those baby faces,
you know what I would actually
you better be lining those heels up.
Things for Kenny Knight to elevate him. I'd end this show kind of like a reminiscent of an old WCW Bischoff Hogan era, NWO style. MJF up, cue the music. Remember how the bagpipes, or you hear the voice, who was that challenger coming? I would bring back Bobby Lashley as the next challenger.
That's a good one.
I think that would get people very, very excited. You want something
especially
fresh.
On a short build. Build. I mean, you have a world beater like Bobby Lashley who brings that world championship credibility with him.
Immediate
credibility. You can do that on a short build.
It looks great on your advertising to pull people in. So then you tie in here. You want some leadership. You want someone that can show someone like Kenny Knight how to do professional wrestling. I know from one thing inside a match, you were critiquing his selling was terrible, which usually is. He's just trying to do everything so fast. With Lashley then focusing on MJF in the world title picture, I would have Knight start teaming up with Shelton Benjamin and those two chasing the tag team championship. So now we've got this Hurt Syndicate where Kenny is the green one, the young pup, learning from these amazing trio of Lashley, of MVP, and Shelton Benjamin to elevate him. That to me is money going forward for AEW. I would love to see that. Speaking of money going forward, this just popped up as I hit my social media. Remember the wrestling buddies we all loved that we had as kids?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
They're called Big Shots. You can pre-order your WWE Danhausen Big Shot Wrestling Buddy right now.
That's amazing. I still want his face on the sphere. Like that needs to happen. Totally here for it. So that's going to wrap things up for this week's show. Thanks for watching and or listening. Please be sure that you mash that subscribe button and then keep up with the show by searching Hitting the Marks on your favorite podcast listening device. Don't keep up with me because chances are I don't want to talk to you. Instead, hit up the vet over at Opinion Haver, Huckleberry. How do the peeps, the freaks, the geeks, and the Demonhausens keep up with you?
Well, you can get all this amazing content, 7 days a week of content from the Hameen Media Group over at patreon.com/Hameen Media Group. Hey, subscribe to that to get all the alerts. There's tons of free content in video form available over there, or just for a minimal price, $5 face slap. You can take all the podcasts on the go with you and get the premium content that Ben Hameen's producing, putting out there some amazing shows coming at you there. Again, patreon.com/Hameen Media Group. Hey, I'm dubbing these, Jargo, as Taco Tuesday for me. My double shots
I like it.
Coming at everybody here. So for me, RBV, we and I will see you next Tuesday.
Funny enough, so I was in a nice happy band called the Pink Skirt Murder, and that was what we called the album. The album is called See You Next Tuesday because it's all about my ex-wife. You can kind of draw your own speculations there. We'll see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, everybody get down with some Big Hebrew.
Yeah, salt of the earth, gold on my waist. MJF Big Hebrew. Let's go! I walk in the room, silence breaks like glass. Camp on my shoulder, I don't need no pass. Burberry drape lying hard in my chest. Every mic got touch, I lay the rest to rest. I'm the storm in the ring, the king of the feud. Talk slick, walk slick, never misconstrued. From Long Island to the top of the charts, I spit bars like darts, tear egos apart. Big Hebrew bell, heavy talk deadly. Crowd boo loud, but they still ain't ready. Big Hebrew, no gimmick, no fake. I break legends down just for the sake. Big Hebrew bell, heavy talk deadly. Crowd boo loud, but they still ain't ready. Big Hebrew, no gimmick, no fake. I break legends down just for the sake. I'm the chosen one, not just a phase. I burn brighter than pyros on entrance stage. No friends, no crew, just me and the grind. Every contract signed got a dollar sign. I'm the villain they love, the truth they hate. I flip fate like I flip a backstage crate. No apologies, just legacy moves. I'm the headline, the heat, the pay-per-view grooves. Big Hebrew bell, heavy talk deadly. Crowd boo loud, but they still ain't ready. Big Hebrew, no gimmick, no fake. I break legends down just for the sake. I don't need your cheers, I feed off spite. I turn heel in the spotlight. Every chant, every curse, every stare, just fuel for the fire. I'm already there. So when the lights dim and the crowd roars, know who's walking out through those doors. Big Hebrew, MJF the champ, the truth, the threat, God!